All right. As Ashley so kindly introduced, yes, my name is Valerie Bledsoe, and I have been in the herbal field, in the herbal community for 46 years now, and I absolutely love what I do. So, have to have the disclaimer there because no matter what, this is not meant to, replace any other type of medical advice or anything. This is simply an educational purpose to help you get a better idea of what's going on in my world. And so today I am going to be talking about how adaptogens can help you in being more resilient to stress. And because no matter what, it is unavoidable. In fact, some people feel like this. They're they feel like no matter which direction they turn, there's, something jumping out from behind them to chase them. And we have to remember that the body is designed to have the adrenals kick in these type of situations and to be able to run to save your life or do what it needs to do. However, life looks a lot different now than it did 100 or 200 years ago. And this is why adaptogens become so important when we're looking at our health. So let's talk about stress and what stress looks like and what it is. It actually can be defined as any type of change that causes a response physically, emotionally, or psychological. And if you look at this poor woman over here, she can, it's like so many of the people that are out there that we see as clients that maybe you know in your family that, shoot, you may even feel like it yourself. And stress is going to be how your body responds to it because everybody has stress. Nobody has a golden ticket and doesn't have to deal with it. It's how our body responds to it. So that becomes what we want to be looking at. And here, how you respond makes a difference in your health and how you end up feeling. So let's look at the different types of stress. There's because we talked about the type of stress, like in this case, we had the animal jump out from behind the tree and you run to save yourself, or we come up upon some crisis that happens. We need to be able to respond to that. But there's also something that chronic stress. And when you have chronic stress, it can end up creating things like memory loss, weight gain, issues with our sleeping. We end up with people can end up with anxiety, depression. It can impact their digestive system. So chronic stress being something that comes on and doesn't back off. Let's look at the last 5 years for most people. That was a stress that nobody believed or ever expected would keep on going this many years. Let's look at stress from maybe a health issue or diagnosis for someone in the family that was not a quick bouncing back from. That's what we look at as a chronic stress because it means it keeps on going without having the breaks. But also, stress looks at other things, a regular old injury. We twist our ankle. That is a stressor. Recovering from a surgery, even if it is a good surgery that you planned out, you're excited to have, it still is challenging to the body. Pregnancy, even though it's a wonderful time of in someone's life, it can also be stressful to the body because they are helping to grow this baby, but they're also dealing with providing nutrition to it, helping make certain that the toxins are leaving the system. There's a lot that added responsibilities to the body when it's doing this. Even, we know when we don't exercise enough that is stressful to the body, but we can have people that do it too much. I've had people that would come to me that were literally just almost non-functional. And they were saying, well, I need to make certain that I go do a, whatever 5 hour workout. I'm like, yeah, no, that's too much. That becomes a stressor to the body. Let's talk about shifting that to where you're walking or stretching so that your body can actually bounce back. Interrupted sleep routine. We know that can happen when we have young ones at home. Um, Again, it is something that impacts the body's normalcy. Being sick, traveling, sugar is a big stressor. Caffeine can be a big stressor. In fact, one of the things that we see a lot of is people that continuously reach for these energy drinks, and they do it so much that it creates a major health concern in their body. Nutrient poor foods. So Unfortunately, our food is not as nutritionally dense as it used to be, even 50 years ago, definitely not 100 years ago. And I see it in how people's health responds. And think of it as our building blocks or the quality of gas that we're putting in our vehicle. When we continually put a lower grade in of foods and nutrition into our body, that creates a stressor on the entire system because it's trying to compensate for this. Prescription and non-prescription drugs. And I often tell my clients because obviously we do not take people off of medications, but they need to know that those medications, even though they may be life-saving for them, have a ripple effect or an impact that's happening in the body that we need to counter because it's very common actually for a person to, once they've been put on a script for 6 months to 2 years after they put on that script, they end up needing to be put on another script from the complications or deficiencies created, or however you want to look at it, from that one prescription. So that is a stressor, and being dehydrated is a stressor. So basically, what I'm telling you is life is full of potholes. And the reason you want adaptogens in your life is because they end up performing as life's shock absorbers. Obviously, it's pretty darn challenging to get down this road without feeling the impact of the potholes. Now, with bad shocks, you're really going to feel the impact of this. But if you have great shocks, you will feel a bounce. You'll go back and forth, and then you'll settle out. So you will have resilience, and you go back to being and functioning the way a smoother light ride like it's supposed to be. Now, a lot of people have never ever even heard of adaptogens, and then they're sitting there thinking, well, why are these so important? Why are they special? Well, there are a small class of herbs. There's literally, maybe roughly 100 in the world max, and they are a special class of herbs that help us reduce stress, both body and mind. And what is so unique about them is you cannot take an adaptogen without also impacting how you feel emotionally and how your outlook in his life. And because the body and mind are connected, you cannot heal one without the other. And once I started introducing and using adaptogens in all my programs with my clients, what I found was even with best of intentions, people can be challenged to follow through and uh, utilize the protocols effectively and efficiently that you've set someone on to help them recover. What I found is people were feeling better mentally. They were feeling better emotionally. So they wanted and they could stay on their protocols. Therefore, they were actually beginning to get the results that they had come to me to get. Now, in order to be an adaptogen, there's a couple requirements. They must be safe for daily use. They must be safe to titrate so that we can utilize it in different strengths and we can build up in strengths without any side effects. And it must be safe for the very young and the very old. So it's interesting to me that the reason that we even ended up in Kansas like 28 years ago now, 27, 28 years ago, when my husband retired from the military, was that my grandmother, who at that point was 89, had been diagnosed with a lung condition to where her lungs were filling up with scar tissue, and they had given her maximum 5 years to live. So she had called me, asked me with Troy's retirement to move the family up to Kansas to take care of her. And that's what we did. Now, what was interesting was the herbs that I chose to use for her. Her main component herb I used was an herb called cordyceps. Cordyceps is outstanding for the lungs. And some of you may be familiar with it. Roughly 35 years ago in the Olympics, in the Summer Olympics, the Chinese women did outstanding in track and field, so much so that they actually accused them of using drugs. What they found out is they were using this adaptogen called cordyceps. It had before been reserved only for royalty to be able to use it, but it is so good for lung capacity and helping the exchange of oxygen that the royalty thought, let's, share it with our athletes to see what happens. Hence the results that they got at the Olympics. Now, this is what I use for my grandmother. Let's just say that we didn't just stop the progression of her issue, it completely disappeared. And my grandmother lived to be 101 and was still driving at that point, and absolutely complete of sound mind. She could tell me the history of anyone and anything in this little town of ours. So I had no concerns with using that with my grandmother, clear up into the point when she did pass at 101. That is the safety that happens when you have an adaptogen. So, what are the benefits of adaptogens? No matter what, adaptogens are going to reduce the impact of the stressors in your life. I'm telling you, stress is not going to disappear because we're surrounded by it. And it's in so many things we don't even think of. Shoot, just picking up your phone and being exposed to that or diving into social media, little things, you don't even have to leave your chair to be impacted by stress these days. So stressors are everywhere. So adaptogens help prevent stressors from hitting the body so hard. They also help your resiliency. So think of that shock absorber that I use as that example, that spring. So yes, we respond to the stress, but then we can spring back to where we were. Adaptogens help the body to find its own homeostasis or its own balance. Adaptogens also are able to customize so that no matter what is going on in our life, because it's working to continually support the body to find homeostasis, that it is helping the body to respond as it needs to. The other beauty of this is everyone that is on this call could be using the same adaptogen with different circumstances going on in their life, and the body is able to utilize the nutrients off of that adaptogen to help it find its own ideal balance. And that is why some people actually refer to these as a smart herb. So here's a diagram to help explain what I'm talking about how they work. So we see that no matter what, stress is there. So we have a stressor that comes in, and our stress response with an adaptogen is going to be the dotted line. You can see that we normally take a turn down as our body does that kind of that response, that recoil, and then it comes back up to the top and higher up, and it stays high for quite a while, and then drops, tends to drop back down again, and then it finally comes back up. Our stress response when you're utilizing adaptogens, yes, we have a dip and then we have a rise in our the response, but you notice it doesn't go as high, it doesn't go as extreme, and it also comes back down more quickly to where it should be without dipping low again. That's what we mean by resilience. And basically, think of it as also not your brake or your gas pedal not getting stuck down to where you're not on go all the time. We've all seen those people that have had so much stress thrown at them that they don't know what's happening next. They don't care, but their body is going to be ready because it just can't ever respond, trust enough to relax. And so adaptogens help the body to be able to use that stress response correctly and not get stuck in a response mode. So there's lots of adaptogens that are out there. These are all adaptogens that I personally work with. Some of them you're going to be familiar with. A lot of people have heard of astragalus. A lot of people have heard of, yerba mate. People have heard of eleuthero. But how many people have actually heard of using magnolia bark or let's see, maca, that there's three different types of maca, or rooibos, guduci, tribulus. And again, there are a few more than this, but I thought this was great to let people know and understand that there's a bigger world out there than they are aware of. So I wanted to pick one or two that maybe people weren't as familiar with. Marl root is one of my favorite adaptogens. It is a plant or a root plant that was named after the marl deer over in old Russia area. And they got this name because after the marl deer would birth, they would go out and dig up this root because of what it does for restoration and helping the body to recover. Does take energy for the body to birth. And the deer know this and they go dig it up to help replenish. So marl root, and this is just a few of the properties of this, is very well known for how it helps to reduce fatigue. So often I use this in a formula that helps people who have had their adrenals pushed really, really hard. They don't tend to sleep very well, and they definitely do not wake up rested. So this is one of those roots and adaptogens that I use in that type of situation because it's helping to give the body nutrition to help them get better rest. Again, all adaptogens help with mood support. It is very good helping endurance, strength, and recovery. So if you think about that again with this example of the marl deer, so helping it to get the strength to bounce back faster as now it's a new mother. Protecting the brain. High stress is hard on the brain. Let's think about it. The more stress we get in any type of situation, how it is harder to retain information, much less pull it out when we're looking for it. So that can happen for a variety of reasons, but the point I'm making is the marl root helps to protect the brain with that. It has been shown that it helps with anxiety and stress. There's a lot of antioxidant properties in this, antimicrobial properties. It's very supportive of the immune system. So a lot of people have a question with adaptogens because we have so many autoimmune issues that are floating around nowadays. The beauty of an adaptogen, if we remember with the definition that it helps the body come back to homeostasis, is if we have an overactive or underactive part of the body, the adaptogen is going to help to bring that back into alignment. So if we have an overactive immune system that is attacking itself, adaptogens help to scale that back to where it should be. If it's underactive, adaptogens help to bring it up where it should. Let's also think about that with the thyroid. Often there's one lobe of the thyroid that can be higher or hyper, one lobe can be hypo. So I can use the same adaptogen. Often in that case, we're looking at astragalus because it helps to re-regulate the thyroid. And it's really beneficial for women going through menopause too, because of how it's jumping around. So again, the adaptogens give the body nutrition to scale it back and put it into balance. It's also really good. The marl root is really good for the vascular system and then the biliary system. Jaugulin is another one that, if nothing else, is just a fun adaptogen name to say. And Jaugulin comes out of Asia, where it is renowned for its abilities to support the cardiovascular system and therefore helping to bring blood pressure back into more of an ideal range for that person, helping to normalize it because of the nutrition that it's giving to it. So again, it is a component that can help to scale back blood pressure that is too high. It can also give it the nutrition to help elevate it if it's running too low. Often I have people who have been on blood pressure medication that are still being challenged and not getting the results. And when we've added in this adaptogen, then their blood pressure medication is able to work better because it's also getting the nutritional support that the body needs as we build up the system. All adaptogens are always tonics as well, meaning it's bringing dense nutrition to the table to feed. In this case, it's very good at helping support the immune system. This is also hepatoprotective, as in it's working for the hepatic system, so your liver, your gallbladder, all this. And then a nervine. Now, what does a nervine mean? Nervine means it's going to help. Let's think of it in simple layman's terms. It's going to help you to stop being so irritated about what's going on around you. If we just think about it so far as emotions go, or think of it like a wire that's supposed to have a connection in your neurological system and it gets frayed and it can't make the connection as well as it should. It helps to soothe that so that the body's able to perform. We have to remember the body makes no mistakes. So if we hand it the right nutrition, it is designed to heal. Now, The beauty with adaptogens is these are very safe for me to use with people that are come to me that are on medications. I just educate them about not taking medications at the same time as these supplements. And I also always go over the list of medications to verify that there are no contraindications because we always want to make certain that we're looking at that. So here are a few of basically, these are pretty darn consistent things that I hear as a result of people being on adaptogens. And the reason I have the picture of the tree here is because with adaptogens, we are literally getting and working at root issues. We're getting to supporting the actual section of the body with nutrition so it can, in this case, has a beautiful, good, strong green tree up above. But you can't get that beautiful, strong green tree just by spray painting a bunch of dead leaves to make it look green. You've got to feed it with the deep nutrition. So often I hear people saying things like, I hardly ever get sick anymore. My brain's firing on all cylinders again. I just feel happy. I'm able to enjoy being a mom again. And one I really like too is I take fewer supplements and get more results. Because to me, it's not about taking as many things as you can. It's about taking the least amount to get the most benefits. And for me, those who know my past story with having complete adrenal exhaustion about 36 years ago, I only had recovered to a certain level and had decided, well, that's where my health's going to be until I started utilizing adaptogens. And then I was able to level up even more in my health. So I one of the things I like to do is I'll collect testimonies. And this was a testimony that came into me a couple years ago that I was not expecting, that I just love what this beautiful woman wrote. And so I wanted to share that here because this was unsolicited and it was something she wanted to share. And she put, as a practitioner, Valerie has helped me to address a number of issues ranging from addiction to grieving. Her knowledge of the interconnectedness of all the systems of the human body is unsurpassed. Her determination to truly help people heal themselves literally saved my life. I cannot adequately express my gratitude for her commitment to helping improve the quality of health and life of everyone she meets. And I hope that you can hear how much this comes from my heart. I love helping people. I love having the opportunity to have an impact and helping empower them through education so they can make the best choices for them. Even things like being able to navigate, everyday life. Um, that's my goal. I have people come to me with everything that they're already using because if I can go ahead and use the supplements they're on, I'm going to. Maybe it said it needs to be shifted up. Maybe it's because they didn't know that you should not take your supplements in the same handful as your medications because then you don't get the full results of either one. Whatever it looks like, that's what I'm here to help provide. And because I always like ending with a quote. This is me rappelling in Costa Rica in a waterfall several years ago. Self-care is giving the world the best version of you instead of what is left of you. And that to me is what adaptogens can help do, is helping you live life again and helping you bring the best you to the table. So thank you, everyone.